So let's talk about the different types of cells that exist in this world. And we have two different types. We have the prokaryotic cells, and then we also have the eukaryotic cells. Now, from this point on forward, if you see the word prokaryote, always remember that it's almost interchangeably used with the word bacteria. So if you, again, see the word bacteria, automatically think that they are prokaryotic cells. Good? All right, so now let's continue. Let's talk about its cell wall. Now, prokaryotic cells, because they're just one body, one cell, it's a unicellular organism, they are always going to have this shield, and that shield is called a cell wall. Now, the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. And there's actually a test that you can run. It's called a gram test to see if your prokaryotic cell has a lot of peptidoglycan or very little peptidoglycan, and depending on that, you can kind of differentiate between what type of bacterial cell we have. All right, so this right here is a cell membrane, and the cell membrane is composed of phospholipid bilayers. So if you guys remember, phospholipid bilayers is just lipids kind of facing against each other. So do remember that this is a phospholipid bilayer, and the hydrophilic aspect of it, the head, is going to be facing outside and inside, whereas the hydrophobic tails are facing each other. Good, good. All right, now let's look at its DNA. Now the DNA, because a bacteria doesn't really need a lot of genetic information, the DNA is considered to be very short and circular. Now some bacteria only have one DNA, but some of them are going to have an extra fragmented DNA, and this extra fragmented DNA is called plasmid. A lot of times it is this plasmid that's going to make a bacteria resistant to antibiotics. So remember, this plasmid is a self-replicating fragmented DNA. Okay, now inside the cell we have ribosomes. Now a lot of people think ribosomes are organelles, and some textbooks will tell you that ribosomes are organelles, but for the sake of our purposes, ribosomes are not organelles because they are made up of RNA, and they are not a double membrane structure. So remember, ribosomes are protein synthesis. This is where translation is going to be taking place. Okay, good, good. All right, now, because this is one cell, one body, it needs to have some structure that's going to help it swim along, and that structure is this. This is called the flagella. And if you guys remember, a flagella is there for motility, but it is also made out of microtubules. Okay. Now, some organisms, some bacteria organisms, they have a flagella, but some don't, and some have both cilia as well as flagella. Just remember that cilia is just a hair-like structure. Hair-like structure that also helps with motility. This one, however, is made up of microfilaments. So the way I kind of remember it is that microfilaments are finer, so cilia is kind of like hair, versus flagella, it's like thicker, and therefore it's like microtubules. Another cell that where you will see a flagella prominently is actually a sperm cell. But remember, guys, the sperm is a eukaryotic cell. It is not a prokaryotic cell. So only because you see a flagella, it doesn't mean that it's automatically a prokaryotic cell.